From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Saturday, March 31st, 2018. Silver is trading at $16.36 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,325 per ounce. Zencash is trading at $17, and the average price of Bitcoin is $7,101. Antiwar.com reports Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula has a broad presence around rural Yemen, but it's relatively rare recently for them to come near the cities to engage with the military forces therein. This did happen recently, however, when Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula attacked a military checkpoint near the Yemeni city of Al-Muqalla. The checkpoint was manned by a local faction aligned with the Saudi invasion forces. The Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula forces attacked the site overnight on Wednesday into Thursday morning, killing at least 9 of the soldiers and wounding 4 others. 5 people were also reported to have been killed in a gunfight outside the city, who were labeled suspected Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula fighters. There was no statement from Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula as to why they attacked this particular site or what their own estimate of casualties were. Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula did, however, control the city of Al-Muqalla briefly a couple of years ago. In the period immediately after the Saudi invasion, attacks on the southern Yemeni port city forced the Houthis to shift defenses away from the coast, and the Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula seized Al-Muqalla and several other coastal towns unopposed. Though pro-Saudi forces eventually retook some of them, Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula is still in control of a lot of the areas that were seen as low priority. For over 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. And as a Bitcoin-preferred business, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports Tesla Motors is recalling 123,000 Model S electric-powered cars in what's believed to be the company's largest ever safety recall. The company said in an email to customers on Thursday, excessive corrosion on bolts in very cold climates could lead to power steering failures. The recall applies to Model S vehicles built before April 2016. Model X and Model 3 vehicles are not included. The email said a car with the corrosion problem is still drivable with increased force. Tesla wrote, "This primarily makes the car harder to drive at low speeds and for parallel parking, but does not materially affect control at high speeds where only small steering wheel force is needed. No accidents have been reported because of the problem." When you hear the word lobbyist, you probably think about greedy corporations, but not all lobbyists are the same. Some are fighting for the freedoms you hold dear. Liberty Lobby LLC is doing just that in New Hampshire, working hard to represent you, not some special interest group. You can help by going to libertylobby.info, where your contribution will give us the tools we need to ensure that your voice is heard. Visit libertylobby.info today to find out more. Reuters reports Vermont lawmakers gave final legislative approval on Friday to a bill that raises the legal age for buying firearms and expands background checks, becoming the latest state poised to tighten gun restrictions after last month's Florida school massacre. The Democrat-controlled Senate approved the measure, S-55, in a vote of 17-13, according to the online legislative record. The bill passed the state House earlier in the week. The measure now goes to Republican Governor Phil Scott, who has shifted his stance and voiced support for some gun control measures after the arrest in February of a Vermont teenager accused of threatening to shoot a high school. The incident came 2 days after a former student killed 17 people at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida on February 14th. Scott's support for gun control marked a sharp switch for a governor with a 93% approval rating from the NRA, gun rights advocacy group, in an otherwise politically liberal state with a reputation as a pro-gun stronghold. Vermont, a largely rural New England state with a passion for hunting, is one of 24 states where efforts to curb gun violence have gained momentum in recent weeks. The Vermont bill raises the age for gun purchases to 21 and expands background checks for private gun sales. It also bans magazines of more than 10 rounds for long guns and 15 rounds for pistols, as well as rapid-fire devices known as bump stocks. Vermont Public Radio reported that the Vermont Senate would take up 2 more gun-related measures next week. Both are aimed at removing guns from homes in cases of domestic violence or when someone is at risk of imminent harm from firearms. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.